Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my breakdown of the Chicago Bears. Now, if you're new to my channel, I just got one simple question for you. Do you want to talk football? Because if so, you're in the right place. This is the only thing that I do. There's this button right around here. See it? See it? See it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, here's how my breakdown is going to go. I'm going to break down what I like about the Chicago Bears. Then I'm going to talk about what I don't like about the Chicago Bears, but stick around to the very end where I break down the Vegas over-under and if I am going to put action down on the Bears. So, hey, let's kick this off with what I like about the Chicago Bears. The first thing I like about the Chicago Bears is the defense. This defense was fourth in scoring. Of course, 2 years ago, they had the number one scoring defense in the NFL. This defense is just awesome on all levels, but it's kind of funny because I made a video about the Dallas Cowboys and I said they had the best three linebackers in football. Well, the Chicago Bears can make a strong case that Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn, and Khalil Mack are better. And I'm at the end of 2020, I might agree. The thing is, though, Robert Quinn, who played defensive end with the Dallas Cowboys, is now switching to a 3-4 outside linebacker. But both Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn both played defensive end with their previous positions. Now with Oakland, now Vegas, Khalil Mack played both outside linebacker, and then they switched to defensive end. Played awesome at both, but outside linebacker is Khalil Mack's natural position. With Robert Quinn, it's going to be an adjustment. He has all the tools to be a 3-4 outside linebacker in this system, but to sit here and say that, oh, he definitely is a great outside linebacker, you can never say that, but his specialty is rushing the passer. And as great as this Bears defense is, and Khalil Mack's one of the best pass rushers in football, they only had 32 sacks last year. Was it 32 or 30? You know what? I apologize. Yeah, 32. I double check. So they only had 32 sacks last year. Here's one of the best defenses in football. With Khalil Mack, you only get 32 sacks. Robert Quinn's going to be a massive upgrade. He replaces Leonard Floyd, one of my favorite players coming out of college. He was the 9th overall pick. And Leonard Floyd played everywhere on the front seven at Georgia. And so I thought him playing outside linebacker would work. I thought he would excel. I thought it might be a transition because he wasn't really an outside linebacker at Georgia. He played everywhere. And I like the versatility, and I was kind of hoping he'd go with the defense. I'm doing the Rams tomorrow, which is the team that signed him. I'm kind of curious if they're going to use his versatility or if they're just going to put him outside linebacker. But Robert Quinn's going to replace Leonard Floyd, who essentially was it's hard. I hate saying this, but yeah, he was a bust. You're the 9th overall pick in the draft, and you just really never had that type of impact. Robert Quinn will be a massive upgrade. You're already the 4th best scoring defense in football, so the Bears defense just got better. So watch out. Keep in mind Roquan Smith. Why he didn't go to a Pro Bowl as a rookie is beyond me. 14 starts, 123 tackles, or what? This kid's good, all right? So second thing I like about the Bears is I have in my outline here that I'm looking at quarterback competition, but I'm going to say quarterback upgrade because they brought in Nick Foles, who worked with Matt Nagy in Kansas City. So he knows the system already. Matter of fact, he started for Alex Smith a few games. And there was the first start, he lit up the Colts for like 300-some yards, 3 touchdowns. People were like, maybe we should bench Alex Smith, start this kid. And then he had a game against the Jags. The next game played against Jacksonville, he looked terrible. Chiefs won that game, but after that Jacksonville game, they're like, hey, Alex, you're back as a starter, no quarterback. Alex Smith is not a bad quarterback. To say you couldn't beat Alex Smith out in just one training camp is not a bad thing. So bottom line, I'm not sure who's going to start. The battle's still up for debate, but it doesn't matter who the starter is. The position's going to be upgrade. I shouldn't say quarterback competition. I really should say quarterback upgrade because that position will be better. Trubisky was really banged up last year, and maybe just him being healthy, but if you have Foles in, you can still go to Trubisky as the backup, vice versa. Either way, the quarterback position in 2020 is going to be better than 2019. So it doesn't matter who's the starter, the position's going to be upgraded. So you gotta like that. Keep in mind, you don't need the same type of offense you have in Kansas City. You have one of the best defenses in football. So you don't need Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, even though Trubisky was drafted before both of those guys. Third thing I like about the Chicago Bears is that in a West Coast offense, you need production from tight end. Keep in mind, I'm going to bring Kansas City up, where Matt Nagy was both the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, spent a lot of time with Andy Reid. Any West Coast system, you need production out tight end position. I went through my notes here. They had 3 tight ends catch 28 passes. Travis Kelce had 97. So 97 is usually a bigger number than 28. So what did the Bears do? They did some really good things. First, they drafted the number 1 ranked tight end in Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame. If you want to say they overdrafted him, this is a weak class for tight ends. Cole Kmet, I saw late second, some third round, so you drafted him early in the second round. If you want to say you overdrafted him, I don't think so, because the guy has upside. He has a lot of upside. He also played baseball for Notre Dame, so now instead of worrying about baseball and football, he's just going to focus on football. But he does have massive upside. If Cole Kmet by himself is a massive upgrade, it wouldn't surprise me if he doubles the production by himself at the tight end position. But you go ahead and you bring in Jimmy Graham. Now, keep in mind, Jimmy Graham, when he was starting off in his career in, can get a little tongue-tied, but when he started his career in New Orleans, this is one of the guys that you were looking at saying, this is a game changer. This is maybe a Hall of Fame caliber tight end. Then he left the Saints and his career kind of went down. I don't think you can call him a Hall of Fame tight end. If you want to argue with me about that, sure, I hear your debate, but here's a veteran who would definitely, again, be the starter. It'll be interesting. I think both Kmet and Jimmy Graham will both play quite a bit this year. And then you also bring in Demetrius Harris, who was with you in Kansas City. It's kind of funny because this is a former basketball player, never played football. Kansas City brought him in. He had some good years, went with John Dorsey over to Cleveland. Now he's back with Matt Nagy in Chicago. Now keep in mind, he knows the system. So if you brought in Demetrius Harris by himself, he would actually be the day 1 starter. This is not a guy that you want to be starting. So you bring in Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet. All 3 of these guys are going to be much more productive than the tight ends that you used. Keep in mind, you used, I think it was a 2017 second round pick on Adam Sheehan. And his story was he was a basketball player at a small school, started lifting weights, put on 50 pounds, and they're like, hey, you should try this football thing out. And I remember at the combine, he was like 280, 285, ran a 4.7, looked like a wide receiver. People were like drooling over the potential. Never panned out. I think he had 7 catches. Here's how you know he's not a good player. He was a second round pick in, I think, 2017. He was traded for a 7th round pick in 2020 to Miami Dolphins. I think it was just 2 days ago. He was traded to the Dolphins for, a 7th round pick. Doesn't get any lower than that. So, bottom line, your tight end position is going to be massively upgraded. The Cole Kmet potential, I think at a ceiling, you're looking at 10 to 12 year starter who makes a couple Pro Bowls. You're never going to get Travis Kelce, or you're never going to get even Jimmy Graham in his prime, but you're going to get a really good player. And keep in mind, your tight end position, if I did my math right, 28 receptions, that's probably the worst in the NFL. And you run an offense that needs production from the tight end. You have some good wide receivers, some really good wide receivers. So you need production from the tight end. And you went ahead and you got that, not just with one player, not just the 2, you got 3. So just to recap what I like about the Chicago Bears, you have the 4th ranked scoring defense last year, one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Then you add Robert Quinn. I could probably split that up into 2 different areas, but just the defense is the number 1 thing I like about the Bears. Number 2, quarterback competition, quarterback upgrade, whichever word you want to say. Basically, the quarterback production from 2019 is going to be upgraded. Whoever plays quarterback in 2020 is going to play better than Trubisky did in 2019. And then finally, the one thing that this offense really needed was an upgrade in the tight end position. So you go ahead and you draft the best tight end and you bring in 2 guys. One's a veteran tight end who's going to show them the ropes, and another one's a guy who knows the system. So some really good upgrades at the tight end position. So now let's talk about what I don't like about the Chicago Bears. All right, it's funny because I'm going to talk out both sides of my mouth here. Yes, I like that you're going to have a quarterback competition, but it's an old saying in the NFL, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And the fact is that you don't have a starting quarterback, and I'm making this video on the 30th, but I mean, let's just say it's August. I mean, bottom line, if there was a preseason, you're entering preseason without a starting quarterback, that to me is a red flag. That's always going to be a red flag. I mean, here you are, you drafted a quarterback with the second, you traded up to get the second pick. You drafted a guy before Patrick Mahomes and Sean Watson were drafted. Now you bring in a guy to compete for the quarterback position. That's a red flag. Now, do I think whoever wins the battle is going to be better than 2019? Yes, but if you're going into a season and you're not sure your starting quarterback is, it's a major red flag. So, yeah, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, but when you look at a team and you don't know who the starting quarterback is, it's got to be a red flag. All right. So this is something that if there was a preseason, I would actually watch the Bears quite a bit because I want to see which quarterback looks better. Second thing I don't like about the Bears is that when I look at the Bears from 2018 when they were the 9th best scoring offense to last year, was it 29th best offense last year, and I just hit the wrong button. Oops. All right, I deleted what I was looking at. Okay, hold on here. Yeah, 29th. So you go from 9th to 29th scoring offense. The one big thing that stands out is that in 2018, they ran the ball 468 times for 1,938 yards and 16 touchdowns. That was 6th in attempts and 11th in yards. And you had Jordan Howard, a player that I really liked. Well, you get rid of him, and then you replace him with David Montgomery, and you plan to increase Tyreek Cohen's input. And I like David Montgomery. I like him a lot. I liked him quite a bit watching him out of Iowa State. But your numbers drop from 395 to 1458 and 8. So you go from 468 carries to 1,938 yards to 16 touchdowns to 395 carries to 1458 and 8th. So you go from 6th to 20th in attempts, 11th in rushing yards to 27th, and your rushing touchdowns are cut in half. All right? So it seems really obvious to me that the big thing you're missing is production from your running game. Now, you addressed the quarterback position, but why didn't you address the running back position? All right, if you go to the draft, yeah, I like the Kemet pick. I like the Jalen Johnson pick. But here's the deal. Instead of Jalen Johnson, 2 picks later, you could have got Cam Akers. 5 picks later, you could have got J.K. Dobbins. Zach Moss was available in the 3rd round. Now, keep in mind, you had 2 picks in the 2nd round and 3 5th-round picks. So, and I like both their draft picks. I like Jalen Johnson a lot. Cole Kemet, you needed. But bottom line, you didn't draft a running back. And there's some good running backs available. J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. Oh, yeah, that would have been perfect. That would have been a big plus. But you didn't go that way, and why not? And then you didn't pick anybody up in free agency. Your rushing production took a massive dip. You have problems in the quarterback, so why didn't you make an upgrade? Why didn't you draft somebody or pick somebody up in free agency? That didn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, you could have. Why not take a flyer on Kareem Hunt? You already know Kareem Hunt from Matt Nagy already knows Kareem Hunt from his time in Kansas City. I'm guessing that because he knew him, he didn't want to sign him. I'm speculating, but here's the thing. There was options available for the running back position. You didn't take them. And to me, yeah, the quarterback position is a problem, but why didn't you address the running back issue? Your running back production took a massive nosedive last year, and that was a big reason your offense wasn't as productive. So why not address it? And that to me is a major question mark. Keep in mind, the plan is to have David Montgomery play better and play more. They need to get him the ball more, but why not pick somebody else up? I don't get it. Third thing is something I'm probably going to have to do a video on after I finish all 32 breakdowns, and that's players are opting out. But this is a big one, pardon the pun, and that's Eddie Goldman, who's a big man. He plays that zero technique. And for those of you that really, here's the thing. One thing I hate about fantasy football in Madden is that you really kind of overlook how important the offensive and defensive line is. But when you have a 3-4 defense like this, and you have that really good zero technique, zero technique's a nose tackle in the 3-4, and their job is to get zero statistics, is their job is to absorb blockers. You need to have 2 players on your offensive line block a really good zero technique. So anytime you play the Chicago Bears, you have to put two players on Eddie Goldman. The reason why is this is a 330, 340-pound dude. You don't want this dude hitting your quarterback. So you put two players on him. This is what allows Robert Quinn. This is what allows Khalil Mack. This is what allows Raquan Smith to get almost 10 tackles a game, is you have this massive guy up front. Well, you're not going to have him. He's opting out of the season, and this is a big loss because you already lost Nick Williams, who went to divisional rival Detroit. So now you got to replace 2 out of your 3 starters on your defensive line. And now they do have players, but Eddie Goldman's really good. This is a very underrated player because too many people play Madden. Too many people look at stats and statistics. You're going to be like, oh, this guy's not that productive. He doesn't have hardly any sacks. That's not his job. His job is to absorb blockers so that Khalil Mack can get the sacks, that Raquan Smith can get those tackles. This is a massive loss for the Chicago Bears, and I think that people aren't really going to see that. But once I do all 32 teams towards the beginning of the season, I'll talk more about how players opting out. I'll probably do like a whole list. To be honest, I haven't really figured it out yet, but because there's a lot of players opting out that I already did breakdowns for their team, so I'll probably have to go back and do this. I'm thinking about doing like a summary of each division. I'll have to get back to that later, but ultimately, bottom line, this is a huge loss for the Chicago Bears, and hopefully something works out for society in general that, you know, there's a good way that these guys can feel safe playing. But I understand the decision. I'm not mad at them. But bottom line, is a massive loss for the Bears. So to kind of recap, I don't like the quarterback situation that you don't have a starter already. That's important, and I'll get to this when I break down the Vegas over-under, why this is really important. Why didn't you upgrade the running back position? I don't get that at all. You had some good players you could have drafted. I like Jalen Johnson quite a bit, so that was a good pick. I'm not dogging the pick. It's just that bottom line, you could have done free agency, you could have done draft, you didn't, and this was a massive hole in your defense, especially when you have issues at quarterback. You don't have a starter. And third thing, losing Eddie Goldman. You already lost Nick Johnson to Detroit. He played defensive end in this defense. Now you lose your starting nose tackle, who's a better player, really key part of this defense, a big part of this defense, literally big. So what I say, stick around to the very end. I talk about the Vegas over-under. The Vegas over-under is 8. That is a very good number. I think it's a very good number. And then you also have, I'm all eat up today. Don't have the schedule ready. Okay. It's 8 and it's negative 110 for both, which means that you wager $110 to win 100. And I really liked the over because they finished 8-8. They were 12-4 last year. I knew that they were going to dip down. I just wasn't sure how far they would dip. So you go from 12 to 8. I really think that they'll bounce back. I'm not sure if it'll be 9 or 10. So I like the over. But this is the key thing about the Chicago Bears. If you're betting the over or if you're betting under, it doesn't matter either way. You're going to know after week 6 whether you're going to hit that over or under. And I'll tell you why. Here's how the schedule opens. You have at Detroit, and then a home game against New York. Then you have at Atlanta, and then 2 home games against the Colts and Bucks, and then a road game at Carolina. Out of those 6 games, I like the over. So you have to be at least 4-2. And here's the reason why. You have winnable road games, Detroit and Carolina. You need to win both of those, okay? Home games, at New York, that should be a win. And then home against Indianapolis and Tampa Bay. Keep in mind both teams are upgraded, but neither one was a playoff team last year. So you really should be able to snag one. So here you are. You have 2 winnable road games plus 3 home games. The Giants has to be a win. You have to be at least 4-2 at that point. And that's a big reason, is that you really need to have a fast start, because at Detroit and New York, you should start the season 2-0. If you're not 2-0 after those first 2 games and you took the over, you should be worried. And I'll tell you why, because week 7 till the bye, which is week 10. So those next 4 games are brutal. At the Rams on Monday night, Saints at home, at Tennessee, and then Monday night at home against Minnesota. Okay? How many wins you got there? I think you really got to look at this as a 1-3 stretch. I think best case scenario, you're going 2-2, but I don't think you can count that. All right. So here's the deal. Going into the bye, you're looking at 5 or 6 wins right there. And then after the bye, you get Green Bay twice, Detroit and Houston at home, at Minnesota, and at Jacksonville. Okay, here's the key game. At Jacksonville, week 16. You either got to be at 8 or over 8 at that game, because that's the game you're looking at as a win. Because going into the bye, you're either going to be 6-4 or 5-5. All right? You can't count on Green Bay, either game against Green Bay to be a win. You can't count on it. At Minnesota, you probably got to look at that as a loss. Home against Detroit and at Jacksonville are wins. That's why a fast start is important, because I think you got to start at least 4-2. Try to be 6-4 to the bye. Then you get those 2 wins. Then you got to figure out your next 4 games, which are going to be at Minnesota, at Green Bay, home against Houston and Detroit. Home against Houston and Green Bay. Did I mess that up? Okay, 2 wins. Let's just go in order. 2 wins at Green Bay, home against Detroit, home against Houston, at Minnesota, at Jacksonville, home against Green Bay. I'm seeing only 2 wins here. That's why you got to be at 6. You got to be at 6, 6-4 at the bye. You have to start the season fast. You got to start the season fast. If you're not 4-2 after week 6 and you bet the over, you should be worried, because you probably won't hit. If the Bears had a better quarterback situation, I would 100% take the over. As soon as I find out who the starting quarterback is, the day that I find out, I'll probably kind of circle the Bears, because right now I'm on the fence. I love the over. I think they're a 10-win team. 9-10 win team. 8 is a great number. But the problem is with the schedule, they have to have a fast start. So I need to know who the starting quarterback is now. If the starting quarterback is announced a week or 2 before the season starts, I'm probably going to avoid the Bears. But but taking the over on the Chicago Bears is a really smart move. All right, so listen. Hey, don't forget, give me a thumbs up on this video. If you have a comment or you disagree with something, leave a comment below. You can always email me at the DAN show, the Dan show at yahoo.com. Give me about 24 hours. I'll do my best to answer all my emails within one day. And don't forget to share this video with your friends. Hey, help this channel grow. And tomorrow I am breaking down the Los Angeles Rams. So, hey, man, enjoy the video. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.